Hey friends, welcome back to Watavue Mountain. Glorious day here. It's probably mid-40s. Nice early morning. We're getting after it today. As you can tell by the title, we are finally going to get a roof on this deck. It's been something we've been putting off. I don't know, maybe a year ago put this deck on. I don't know. I'll link the video. But we need more space inside, right? We're going to start on the walls and the interior stuff, and we have too many tools. So I decided, let's go ahead and finish this roof over this deck so we can finish this side, finish that door, and then get some of that junk from outside, and have it underneath some cover. So that's what we're getting after today. Thanks for coming. Thanks for checking us out. We appreciate your support all the way along. I know it's been a long journey, but like I said, we go on vacation, we do what we want to do. So this just kind of happens when it happens. So enough of me rambling. Thanks for coming. God bless you for being here. I hope you're having a blessed day just like we are. Let's get to busy. All right, so first things first, right? We put those 6x6s. We only have 3 of them. So I have to expose those. I could just go ahead and put it right on top of here. But if these boards ever rot, then that's not going to work. So I got to remove just a couple of boards to get access to the top of these 6x6s so we can screw our 6x6 posts in. Now, as you probably remember, maybe not, but we use these camo deck screws, right? Which are great hidden fasteners. The only problem is, if you lose this little bit that comes with it, it's a T15, it's nice and long and skinny, so it'll fit down in the sides to get those out. You can use a T15 like this, however, trying to get it in between those boards is going to be really tough. And then the other problem is actually lining up the end of this bit with the screws. So I've already taken this board off because I made a short about it, and I couldn't find all the screws. So what I ended up using was a reciprocating saw with a bi-layer bit that's made to cut screws and wood. So think about that. If you're using these camo screws, that's what you're going to have to do. So let's see if we can get some of these screws out. These are a little better exposed, so they're not too bad. But they're hard to find. They're hidden down in there because as these boards retain moisture, the hole where it went in kind of blows up, expands, and covers up the head. So it can be a little tricky. Like I can't even see this one, but got lucky. Nope. Well, that's not bad. I got most of those out. Now this is where it gets tricky on the inside. Alright, I'm just going to keep taking the rest of these out. I'm not going to show you me cutting, well, because that one just popped right out. But I'm going to finish these ones. I got a couple in the middle and a couple on the end. I'll get those done and we'll get the 6x6s up. So we got those boards off. Now I'm just going to make sure that all these corners or the tops of these 6x6s are nice and flush and level, so that when we put the other 6x6 on top, it's not all wonky and crooked. So I got to shave this one down just a hair. So I'll use that reciprocating saw. I'll shave this down to make sure that it's flush. Got this first 6x6 in place, and just to tack it in place for now, I'm just going to throw in some of these 3-inch screws, and I'm going to pre-position them so that when Sean stands this up and hands it to me, then I already got a few in place so that I could just tack it down. And then as we get further along in the process, we'll make sure it's level. I'm going to try to make sure it's level now. So I'll use this post leveler like we used before. But this just kind of helps so that we're not scrambling once it's up. And then we'll come back later and I'm going to use some big lag bolts to help really secure it in place. So there we go. Just those two for now. And then Sean's going to lift up that end if she can. You got it? And then just keep going up. And stand it up. Just walk towards me and keep putting your hands up. There you go. And then,
you got it?
Yep, I got it.
You want me to let go?
Nope. Don't let go. Get it squared out to the edge. So it's on the edge. It's lined up with the other 6x6. Let's see what happens. Why not? And then we're looking for plumb. It's pretty good that way. Not so much that back way, but like I said, we'll fix that once we get the rafters on. Right now, I just want this thing to stay in place. There you go. That feels pretty good. And you can't see from way back there, but the top will still have to come this way towards me some, but that's okay. I'm expecting that. But we're good left and right. So we're gonna go ahead and get these other two 6x6s in place, and then we'll come back and we'll see what's next. Got a little ahead of myself. If you watch the original video of us putting this tin up, you know that we had a little bit of shift on this side. So this tin sticks out, I don't know, probably 2-3 inches all the way down here. So what I got to do is I have to rip this tin back to the edge of the boards so that I can get a good purchase on these rafters, on those 2x4s. So we have this little bower. We had a little nibbler we were using before. We're going to try this one we got from Harbor Freight and see if we have any better luck trimming this stuff out. So let's see how this goes. All right, it's not pretty, but it's done. Yeah, that's not too bad. Only one cut. All that tin. That bower's pretty nice. It just, is the camera on? Oh yeah, I see it. Is where it overlaps, it wouldn't cut it. So if you got two pieces of metal, and now I don't know anything that will. Maybe that nibbler might, but that wouldn't cut through it. So now let's go back and see if we can figure out how to hook this rafter up to this rafter and get our mark on the 6x6. We got the metal ripped down. Now you can see it made a huge difference. Now you see, I was trying to figure out this angle. The angle is 0. We can just use that off the back of that board. And then as you see, this rafter is still sticking down below this. So we're still gonna be able to put 2 or 3 screws in this to secure it here. And then if you look there, there's our quarter bubble, and we got it secure at that end. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to mark that line there. So that's going to be the top of the 6x6s that we're going to use to support these rafters. So all of that was just for me to figure out how high are we making those, the top of those 6x6s, and then we got to cut the top off. We're going to cut that off of the 6x6. I mean, 2x6s are going this way. We got to cut the top off that 6x6. So I'm gonna take this rafter down after I mark it, and then we'll get those 6x6s up. I have my mark here that Sean made for me, and then I reinforced it after I got the angle right. I had a little bit of clearance at the roof for the purlins, so they're 1 inch, so they're really about 3/4 of an inch. So I made sure I had enough so that when the tin transitions, that I still have enough space and we're not trying to go uphill. So I have this mark here, and then I'm just going to transcribe it all the way around this 6x6 with my speed square. And then I'm going to cut this off right here, because this is going to be, nope, not right there, right there. This is going to be the top of where the 2x6s sit that the rafters are going to sit on. So just mark it all the way around. Make sure I like it. And then it's probably going to take both the circular saw and the Sawzall. So let's see how this goes. There you go. Just finish it off with the Sawzall, nice and level. Let me knock out the other two, and then we'll move on to what's next. So now we're gonna laminate two 2x6s together. So I have two 12-footers sitting right behind the camera. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna do 18 feet total, because I want it to stick out a foot from each side. So we're gonna cut this one in half. So I'll have a 12-foot and a 6-foot together, and then a 12-foot and a 6-foot together to make 18 feet all together. And then that way we have enough, and we have good coverage. So five feet right there, 6 feet, 72 inches. So cut you in half. Measure twice, cut once. We're at 6 feet. Okay, now we're going to take these and I'll show you what I'm talking about over here. So this is what I'm talking about. This is a 12-foot board, and this is a 6-foot board. This is a 12-foot board, and I have another 6-foot board down there. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this 6-foot board and I'm going to flush it up with this 12-foot board, like so. And then I'm going to screw the 6-foot board to this 12-foot board. Yep. I had to think about that for a second. I got new screws. I got to get them open. And with this, I'm going to use kind of a W pattern. So make sure everything stays flush. I'm going to keep doing this all the way down. And then I'm going to take that 6-foot board way down there at this end. Sean will pan over so you can see. Then I'm going to take this 6-foot board, put it on top of that board. Then I'm going to flip this board over, the whole thing, onto this, and then we'll have two solid 18-foot No. I'm going to flip this part of the 12-foot board onto here. This will go here. And then we'll have 18 feet of coverage. I'll show you. Let me just finish this up and then I'll show you what I'm talking about. 6-footer, 12-footer, 12-footer, 6-footer. So I went ahead and put this 12-footer on top of here just to make sure it's all going to come out to 18 feet. Because, you know, me and measuring sometimes don't work out so well. So this 12-footer is now on top of this 12-footer. So now I can just keep laminating that in place. Once I make sure everything down here is nice and flush. Yep, nice and flush. So I'm going to keep screwing it in. Now, for extra measure, I could have gone with some liquid nails and put that in between. That make them stick together a little bit better, but I think we're doing okay with all these screws. And I didn't mention, sorry, I'm using 2.5-inch construction screws, exterior wood screws. Now, if you watched any of our videos in the past, you've heard me talk about pulling and pushing and tension up and down. So it'd probably be better for us to use nails here. But I think with the number of screws we have and these new construction screws with the way they're designed, I think we're going to be just fine with these. So now I'm going to put some blocking up. You can use clamps or whatever. I'm just going to use some old scrap 2x4s. I'm going to put those up so that when we lift this up in place, it'll kind of stay by itself and I'm not trying to hold up 18 feet of board. Before I do that though, let me find the center of this board so that I make sure it's lined up with the center of this 6x6. So let me do that, and then we will get that blocking in place. All right, so this is where the fun begins, right, of hanging a laminated board. As you see, I put some blocking up. I just used those 2.5-inch screws, screwed a couple 2x4s into each side. So the idea is we're going to lift this up. We're going to set it here first. Then I'm going to run over here. I'm going to set it up there. Then we'll get it flush with the top of the 6x6 and get that screwed into place. So lots of movement going on. We'll see how it goes. We kind of did this when we did the pole barn, but it usually ends up being some kind of calamity. So we'll see what happens. All right. Can you lift that?
This board?
Yeah, or is it too low? There you go. Hold on. Okay. So now pull it towards me a little bit. And then I'm going to just set it right there. And then Sean's going to come over here and try to hold it. Just hold the board just like that. You don't even have to really do anything. You got it? And then you probably can't see that from there, but our center line is about in the center of this post. But you see it's sticking up a couple of inches, so I'm going to have to think about this one. How am I going to do that? I'm going to set a couple screws first. Now I think I'm going to have to move the ladder again and connect one end first. I'll get it flush with the top of the 6x6. Then I'll move to the other end, get that flush with the top of the 6x6, and then this should be flush with the top of this 6x6. So,
I can make this 1 second.
all right, hold on, let me get the, okay.
I'm going to switch you on.
Okay, you got it?
Uh-huh.
Okay, and then let me grab the tape measure too, so I can make sure we have about a foot, which we should, because like I said, that line is centered. So we should be good right there. And I'll set some screws before I try to lift it so that I'm not lifting and trying to set screws all at the same time. So just about a foot. We got 11 inches of overhang there, so I might scoot it my way just a titch when I lift it up. And then I'm using 4-inch screws right now to attach this. And I'll come back later with some ledger locks. So now I'm just going to ease that on up so it's flush. Okay, keep holding that, baby.
All right, but I can't hold it much longer.
Well, I gotta get to the other side. Couple screws here.
Can you hold it 1 second?
Yeah, I got it.
All right.
I got it.
Hold it.
You can rest for now. Okay. And now I got my level. I'm going to make sure we're level and flush and plumb. There you go. Nice. Why do I have a space back here? Okay. Thank you. And then we should be level with that center board. I mean, with the center post. So a little bit of back and forth, but it's all good. There we go. All right, let's set level again. Perfect. This one's down a little bit, but
Did it go all the way?
we're level. Yeah, this one went all the way in. So there you go. So that ledger board's done, or whatever you want to call this. Now we're going to go back to the 2x4 rafters and make sure that that all works out and that we still have enough space for our purlins on top so that we don't have any water flowing backwards. So let's go do that. All right, now let's see where we're at here. Bring this back flush. I drew a line up here so I knew where the top of this rafter was. Make sure we still have our 1/4-inch bubble, and we do. So good. So we're gonna, nice, I like that. Okay. So now the trick is, these are 16 on center, so we got to measure that out to figure out where our 16s on center are going to be. So I'll probably measure, I'll find the center of this, which I don't think is the center of this. I think this is off to the side. So a little bit more math going on here, but we'll get it figured out. Okay, so I figured out my distance from the end of that last, not the outside rafter, but the next rafter over was 95 inches. So I marked 95 inches to mark the center of where this rafter is going to go. So then I marked 16 inches on center all the way across, so I know where the rest of these rafters are going to go. Now some of these are going to get hurricane ties just like we did on the inside, but because this one's right up next to the 6x6, it's not going to get a hurricane tie. So what I'm going to do first before I go starting installing all these rafters is I got to get this thing plumb and level, right? So we're good front to back, but we got to come this way. So as you can see, it's a little hard because I'm pulling everything else with me. We're still good front to back. I just gotta there we go. Just gotta lean into it a little bit. So now this bubble's good. This bubble's good. My rafter is centered on my mark. A couple of screws. Make sure I'm still good. All good. This says it wants to come back, but that one says it's good. So there you go. So now we'll move, I guess we'll move down to this end, because I think this one's pretty far out of cattywampus, and we'll do all the same thing, and then just fortuitous. Our other little level here, still good, still at a quarter bubble. So now we got good flow going this way. I still got plenty of space for those purlins to go on top. I'll put in a couple more screws on that end just to secure it to the to that rafter, and then we'll be good to go. So we got all the 6x6s plumb and level, and we have just 3 of these rafters in place. And as you can see behind me, maybe this one has a hurricane tie, that one has a hurricane tie. These are the H1Z Simpson Strong Tie hurricane ties. You've heard me talk about Simpson Strong Tie before. Not only do they make great products, but they also have phenomenal customer service. When we first started building this, I couldn't find exactly what I was looking for. I emailed them. They made a video specific for what I was looking at and sent it back to me, showing me what my options were. So absolutely phenomenal. However, I don't have enough of these to do all of them, and I think it's probably overkill. So what I'm going to do is every other one. So I'm going to put one here. I'll put one here. Skip that one, or put one there. You see what I'm getting at all the way down. So I'm going to go ahead and get these zipped in place real quick, and then we can do it like an assembly line after that. Sean can just hand me the 2x4 rafters. We can throw them up and get this thing knocked out. Okay, one thing I forgot to mention when I'm looking at these rafters is I'm looking for the crown. We've talked about this in the past. I'm sure you've seen other videos, but I'm checking to see if the bow has a board, the board has a bow going up. If it has a bow, I want that going up. I don't want the sag on the top, because eventually that will settle itself down and level out. If it already has a curve like this and it settles more, then that's just going to hold water. So this one, the bottom is curved like that a little bit. The top looks fine, or this side looks fine, so we're going to use this on the top. So You saw the assembly line. Of course, the camera cut out halfway through because we were working and weren't checking the battery. And we used these generic batteries so that it doesn't beep. Anyhow, you saw we kind of had that assembly line going. I secured all the ones closest to the cabin. And then now I'm going to go back and secure all the ones away from the cabin. And it's already starting to solidify up. I mean, it's pretty solid, and we only have 3 secured on that end. So once we get the rest of these secured, like I said, every other one has a hurricane tie. These ones for right now will just get 2.5-inch screws, and I'm using 1.5-inch screws on those hurricane ties, and they're the Simpson Strong Tie exterior SD connection screws. I always like to talk what I'm doing. I forgot, so that's what I'm using, the 1.5 inches. Yeah, so now I'll probably just time lapse this as I go through and I button up that side, and then we'll get on to putting on the purlins and tin right behind that. All right, all the rafters are done, tight as a tick. Now let's get that ladder moved up here, and we'll start messing with the purlins, and then you'll understand what I'm talking about if you don't know what purlins are. All the rafters done, so now this is the purlins I was talking about. If you don't know what they are, this is what the metal is going to connect to. So you see how it bridges the gaps in between the rafters, so that we have a consistent space for the metal to screw to. Because it's not going to, the way the metal is, it isn't going to line up on on these rafters necessarily. So you need these purlins in order to do it. So we're going to put them about every 3 feet, right? 1, 3, 6, and then we'll have some right at the edge of the roof. So I'm just going to go ahead and put this on. We got 12s and 6, 12 and 6, 12 and 6, and I'm just going to use, I thought I had something shorter, but I don't, so I'm going to use these 2.5-inch screws to screw them in place. So this has a little bow in it, so it's starting to drift away. So I'm going to go to the other end and pull that out, and then work my way back this way. And really, we're just looking for consistency for attaching the metal. And this is a 1x3, so it really gives you a little bit of leeway. Either way, on the attachment point for the metal, so it doesn't, if it's a little bowed, it's not going to be the end of the world. But I mean, you see that's like a 1/2 inch out there, so I'm just going to pull that back and make sure we're closer to flush all the way across. All right, we'll just keep doing that. And when we're done with this, we'll come back and we'll start on some tin. So we have the first purlins up, and what I was doing was measuring 36 inches at each one. You talk about taking forever. So this time we're going to try something different. We're going to use the chalk line. Thank you. We're going to use the chalk line. So I marked 36 inches here. I marked 36 inches over there. And now I'm just going to take this out, and I'm going to feed it all the way across, which still might be just as much of a pain in the patootie. But if I was feeling real crazy, I would just toss it. There you go. And then, there you go. That'll work. So I just hold the string and then toss it. It sounded like a good plan. Oh, shoot.
Oh, God.
Make sure you hold the string. You got to turn the camera around for this one. Make sure you hold the string because, as you see, I can't even make this stuff up. There's the string line right there. You can just leave it out, baby. All right, now this time, I'm gonna go to the other end with all this string out and toss the whole thing all the way over. So, let me turn the camera, because this might be epic too.
Usually is.
All right.
I'll stand out of your way.
Oh my God.
Get it tangled up.
If I'd have kept it straight, it would have been epic. So, let me untangle this and then we'll see what we can do. So, untangled the whole mess. So now I'm just going to pull out a bunch. Try to keep it from tangling. Hold the string.
That was closer.
That was close. Now I'm going to just wrap the string around itself here so I don't do the same thing I did last time. So it's somewhat connected. I'll pull some more out. I'm still going to hold it right here. There we go. Now we're in business. There we go. So now you can come and hold it right here, baby. I'll go pull that in tight and then we'll snap it and hope it works. And I can see it. Okay, you got it?
Yeah.
Is it on the line?
Yeah, it is. It is now.
Okay. You still good?
Needs to come over a hair. There.
Good? All right, go ahead and see if you can reel that in now. That ain't gonna do two things but piss me off. Because now the mark's on top. I guess I could crawl up top. Reel it in. Maybe that's the move. Get
I don't think you should crawl up top.
Well, that's the only way I'm gonna see the marks.
I think if you get that tall ladder extended between them, it's easier than crawling up top.
Okay, we'll try the tall ladder. Stand in between. Okay, so all the purlins are on, right? These are the purlins. Like I said, they run perpendicular to the rafters. And now Sean is going to start handing me the tin. So we're in the home stretch. And then once she hands me this first piece, I'll show you what we're going to do as far as mating it up to the tin that's already on the roof. So she's bringing that over now. And then we'll go from there.
How do you want it?
I think come over to this side.
Up over?
Yep. Okay, I got it.
Yeah.
Yep. right, so this is how it's supposed to go, right? Is we're just gonna slide the new tin up underneath the old tin. As you can see though, I didn't do a great job of cutting this, so it's gonna be a struggle. So I'm gonna try to use this little shim. The first row of screws is already out down here, as you can see. So so that tin should just lift up, and then I should be able to just slide that underneath there. Don't have the GoPro, can't hold my phone and do this at the same time. So we'll switch back to the big camera, and you'll just have to listen to me struggle as we go. And then once I get it straightened out, then I'll come back to this and show you what we got. I don't know what I need. I got it there, but I can't get it. I got to figure out how to get it to turn up. You know what I mean?
Turn up.
Maybe I just use some caulk.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Does it look like it's underneath the tin to you everywhere?
Yeah.
Except for right here.
Now. Yeah. It wasn't out of there.
Except for right there.
Yeah.
And then, how do we look on the edge? Is it flush there?
Yeah. It's over the board.
Over that board on the end?
That board.
Okay.
Looks like it's like up even on the other board.
Okay. So yeah, I think that's going to be the move. Is we're just going to have to caulk this, because I'm not going to be able to get this to go up underneath there. Let me show you.
It's like on the very edge of that other board. So it's perfect.
Okay.
Is that where you want it? You don't want it overlapping?
Yeah, I just want it right at the edge. So as always, I didn't think this through entirely great, because I can't get this metal to go up, right? I'd have to bend it, and I don't have a bender. So what I think I'm gonna do is I'm gonna just get it up there as much as I can like I have it now, and then we're just gonna come back with a big fat bead of caulk right there, some silicone caulk, and caulk that off. And if that doesn't work, you know, it'll be a pain to take all this tin off, but I might just have to come back and trim that out real nice, and then do a transition piece over top of that. So that might be the move, but we're gonna do this first and wish for the best.
It's coming through the wood. Is that okay?
If you look back to the video of us installing the roof, the wood on the roof, you'll see on this side, this is the west side, the north side of the west side, right? So there's north, here's the west side. I ended up putting those, that plywood, the particle board, up a couple inches by mistake. Well, that's coming back to haunt us here. So what I'm gonna have to do is go back and get a transition piece. So I was gonna start screwing this down, but I'm not going to. I'm gonna have to get a transition piece that will slide up underneath this and on top of this to help bring that water out away from there, because the front out there is flush with each other. And if I slide this back, then that's going to be off. Then that's going to put off everything else. So I'm just going to have to go with what we got right now and leave that gap there, and then figure out a transition piece to put in there. So there you go, friends. Like I said, we always share our failures with you, and I didn't think about that transition piece. So other than that, we're done. I'm not going to show you putting the deck back together. You already saw the original, how we're going to do that. I do need to come back with the lag bolts. I thought I had some. All I have are 8-inch lag bolts, and I don't want to use those. I need some either 4 or 5-inch lag bolts to secure these 6x6s better, and to secure that header better with those lag bolts. So a couple things that I missed, but like I said, I thought I had them, but the ones I have are 8 inches, so they would just come flying out the other side of that. Way too big. Other than that, I mean, pretty straightforward. It took us, what time did we start? About 10? So about 6 hours is really all it took us. You know, once you get a system down, it went pretty smooth. Like I said, just that. I got to put the gutter back up. You probably didn't notice, but I took the gutter down, but that's our source of water. So I'm going to have to trim that and put that back up so we can continue to do some rain catchment. But other than that, pretty straightforward. And more as we're learning as we go, that instead of just relying on the measurements, I kind of rely on fitting stuff together. And that seems to work out pretty good for us. I mean, you see the tin went on nice. On the front looks good. We got a little bit of overhang, which is what we wanted. Now I might put a fascia board on the front of that so I can hang a gutter there as well, and then get us even more rain catchment. But that'll be a project for the future. Right now, we just wanted some cover over this so we can get some of our stuff from inside outside, and have a little space when it rains that we can still be outside. So thanks for hanging with us. I hope you learned from this video, learn what not to do, and make sure you get that transition piece if you're trying to do something like this. And yeah, we're absolutely blessed to be on this journey, to have you along with us. You know, we couldn't be happier with our progress. I mean, we could if we were done. But like I always say, we like to do other stuff, and so we do that, and then we do this when we have time. So thanks for coming. Thanks for checking us out. Of course, if you like what we're doing, hit like, hit subscribe, hit the little bell icon over there. That'll let you know when we post new content. And then, of course, look up this way. We're going to post another video. I let YouTube pick it because they know what you like better than we do. And until next time, be safe, and God bless.